Breaking news of Tyson Fury may vacate his WBC heavyweight title in order to avoid a fight with his mandatory Dillian Whyte. According to Bob Arum, Tyson Fury may relinquish his WBC heavyweight title and seek a new opponent if a bout with Dillian Whyte cannot be made by March with whatever split/offer they give Dillian Whyte, which is currently 80-20. That being said, we know that split doesn't even make sense because it's way below the purse bid. We're going to get to that in a few. For the meantime, here is what Tyson Fury promoter Bob Arum had to say. Quote, "If we can't come to a deal with Dillian Whyte, we will do a fight with the Ring Magazine belt and the lineal title, and we will pick another opponent. Frank Warren and I are determined to come to him with an opponent that's acceptable, and we would love to do the fight in Cardiff. Andy Ruiz Jr. is a possibility. Joseph Parker, I see he had a good victory over Derek Chisora on Saturday. Parker could be a possibility, and we are looking at a couple other names that might be appropriate." End of the quote. Obviously, in order for Tyson Fury to look at any other name that's not Dillian Whyte, that will mean Tyson Fury will be stripped of his WBC heavyweight title, since the WBC have already ordered Tyson Fury to fight Dillian Whyte. In that case, if both Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte can't come to an agreement, then the fight will go to purse bid. Therefore, there is no way out for Tyson Fury out of this situation because he stands to lose a whole lot. I mean, how are you a champion, but you don't want to defend your title? That's the whole purpose of a champion, is to defend his crown, his throne, against all upcomers. Like I said, Fury stands to lose a whole lot. His belt is one thing, his reputation is another, especially when Tyson Fury wants to be undisputed. After all, that's why Fury was dying to avoid Deontay Wilder trilogy in order to pursue the undisputed fight with Anthony Joshua, just like he's dying to fight Usyk for undisputed today. Old media have been painting the narrative that that's the biggest fight to make for the undisputed reason. Then all of a sudden, Tyson Fury want to throw his belt to the trash just because he has a tough mandatory, which forces old media to call out Tyson Fury for being such a big duck, for contradicting and ruining all of the narratives they made for him. In a way, Tyson Fury forced their hands, so there is no way out for Tyson Fury out of this one. Now, for the people that don't know, Tyson Fury have already turned down 2 fights with Dillian Whyte. That information may be shocking to some, to others is not, since supposedly Dillian Whyte knocked down Tyson Fury multiple times in sparring with big gloves and headgears. Now, mind you, Tyson Fury never denied Dillian Whyte knocked him down in sparring.
He's the one that come out and said he beat me up in the gym and stuff like that. I can tell you now, that didn't happen. I don't like telling sparring stories, but people in the grapevine knows. People in the grapevine knows. People in the game knows, They know about me.
Dillian, what did happen then? What did happen?
Well, me and Tyson used his power and I bashed him about and dropped him on multiple occasions. It's simple as that. He wants to go around talking this, saying that. If I was such an easy fight and why is he not in any rush to fight me? He said before beating Wilder, when I beat Wilder, I'm going to give Dillian Whyte his title shot after beating Wilder. And he just starts rubbish.
I say, I'm the can man. Whoever won it can get it. Tyson Fury won it. He can get it, but he don't want it.
You two know each other well from training in the past. How did those sparring sessions go?
Listen, Tyson's hardcore. He's long, he's rangy. Some days he may outbox you here and there, but I've definitely laid him up before. Definitely put him on his bottom before.
Tyson Fury never denied Dillian Whyte knocked him down in sparring. Usually, that's the first thing fighters do when there's news of them getting knocked down or knocked out in sparring. However, Tyson Fury never did, even though he had multiple interactions with Dillian Whyte back and forth, which, if anything, further confirms Tyson Fury getting dropped. And that explains why Tyson Fury have been avoiding Dillian Whyte to this day. After all, Dillian Whyte is the first completed fighter Tyson Fury is going to face. That's actually his size. Obviously, Steve Cunningham was a natural cruiserweight, and he still managed to drop Tyson Fury. More importantly, that's what separates boxing pound for pound #1 Terrence Crawford from the rest. Because when he had a dangerous mandatory in Sean Porter, he did not vacate his belt like Canelo, Lomachenko, and the way Tyson Fury is looking to do with Dillian Whyte. After all, boxing is the theater of the unexpected. Just look at Anthony Joshua mandatory, for example. Usyk. He's now the heavyweight unified champion of the world. So Dillian Whyte is in that same position. But apparently Tyson Fury doesn't seem to have the cojones Anthony Joshua and Terence Crawford has. There's a reason why Tyson Fury had never defended his title, unless it's through arbitration. For the people that don't know, this is the second arbitration case Tyson Fury had to go through in an attempt to avoid a fight he has to take. First, it was the Wilder trilogy, and now is the Dillian Whyte mandatory. I mean, you really can't make this up. First, Tyson Fury turned down 2 fights with Dillian Whyte in the past. So once Dillian Whyte became Tyson Fury mandatory, he automatically knew that Tyson Fury is under the WBC, Witness Protection franchise. Actually, the WBC was trying to bypass Whyte. So Dillian Whyte took the WBC to arbitration in order to get his title shot. Then guess what? Dillian Whyte won the arbitration case, so the WBC was forced to order Tyson Fury to fight Dillian Whyte. So the $1 million question, is Tyson Fury going to be a man and fight Dillian Whyte, or a coward and vacate his WBC title? Only time will tell, we shall see. Furthermore, Eddie Hearn already revealed, as long the offer is fair, they willing to take it and not go to purse bid. However, if Bob Arum is trying to lowball them, then they will take it to purse bid. We all know this is a mega fight. We all know that Dillian Whyte is not your average mandatory. He has a huge following. So if the fight goes to purse bid, Bob Arum is not going to be happy with the split. Therefore, it will be wise for Bob Arum to do the right thing. So to all of the Tyson Fury fans, are you guys going to do the right thing and call Tyson Fury out for ducking? Because you guys falsely accused Deontay Wilder of ducking Dillian Whyte when he never turned down the fight. Meanwhile, Tyson Fury turned down 2 fights with Dillian Whyte, and now he's looking to give up his belt to avoid the fight with Dillian Whyte for the 3rd time. Keep the same energy, don't flip. We all know Deontay Wilder never gave up his title to avoid any fight. Last but not least, for the people that say, since Tyson Fury knocked out Deontay Wilder in the trilogy, doesn't that clear his reputation of cheating against Deontay Wilder? The answer is obviously absolutely not. Wilder was never the same after the second fight. And here is what other fighters think of Tyson Fury. Derek Chisora.
You know, I never said this in publicly, bro, before, and I think between me and him, he knows, that, I really like Tyson. He's a good character in the game, he's a very intelligent man. But the Tyson I boxed at that time, he was a cheating basically. Yeah, and I call him a for that time. But the Tyson now, he's a cool guy. I like him. Or maybe it's because he's a billionaire. He's a millionaire now. The old broke Tyson is he's a cheating But that's between me and him anyway. He knows what he did, and I don't like it.
I was with him the other day. I asked him, who do you still want to fight? And he said, I still want my trilogy fight with Derek. Do you want a trilogy fight with him?
Yeah. I'll have that one with Tyson. I'll have another one with Dylan. That's it. And I'm definitely have a second one with David. Yeah, but you know what? After all is said and done, I'm telling you, man, we can all sit down, Dylan, Tyson, AJ, everybody in the same room and break bread together.
The trilogy proved that Tyson Fury is the better man, that he has Deontay Wilder number, with extra numbers on the clock for him to get up, if you know what I mean. But it doesn't prove that Tyson Fury allegedly didn't cheat in the rematch. The trilogy win doesn't vindicate Tyson Fury of the Glovegate allegations. All it does is prove that he's the better man. Let me emphasize, when Canelo Alvarez tested positive for PEDs leading up to the Gennady Golovkin rematch, Canelo got suspended for 6 months for cheating. But then he came right back, fought Gennady Golovkin again and beat him. So does that prove Canelo didn't cheat? Absolutely not. Canelo will forever be labeled a drug cheat. And one thing Tyson Fury and Canelo have in common, they both tested positive for PEDs, then blamed it on contaminated meat. Even though they both on two different sides of the world. Great cheaters always thinks alike. All of this is factual information. Facts always trump opinions. You will always receive facts over emotion over here. Nevertheless, even when Luis Resto got busted cheating red-handed, do you guys know he was the better boxer? So let's play a scenario where Luis Resto doesn't get locked up, nor did he end up killing his opponent in the ring. Then they ended up having a rematch like Wilder and Fury did. However, Luis Resto, just like Tyson Fury, ended up winning by KO. Does that vindicate Luis Resto as if he didn't cheat the previous time? Absolutely not, because he already got caught. All it proves is that he's the better boxer. But even better boxers cheat. Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin is a perfect example of that. So the same logic applies to Tyson Fury. With the facts being laid out, drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe below and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, TV. Peace, and I'm on to the next one.
Okay, this is the second time that Fury had an arbitration case due to the fights he wants to avoid. Is that surprising to you, since that is a huge mega fight?
Yeah, I think it's a great fight for British boxing. You know, it does a huge amount of buyers and big, as I said, big fight for British boxing. So hopefully it can get made.